The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Get go, Cowboys! This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
Mercifully, it is the last day of 2024. We are looking ahead to 2025 on this edition of Mick Shots, brought to you by Miller Lite. Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola. We're going to have predictions for 2025 on this edition of Mick Shots. What do you think of that? What's going to happen in 2025?
I don't like those.
It's going to start tomorrow.
Yep, the year's going to start tomorrow. There's one prediction. We're off to a rousing start here.
Jerry said when he was on today, he said something to the effect that, yeah, let's just get through 2024. This has not been a good year.
It is
Well,
not.
we get just 12 hours to go.
For many reasons, right?
All right, so Jerry was on the radio today, and Mickey, you have come with clarity on what's going to happen after Sunday when the Cowboys take on the Washington Commanders in the regular season finale at noon at AT&T Stadium.
And as Jerry pointed out, I'm not under any unusual time frame to make a decision on the coaching staff or to announce it. Who knows? He might have made the decision already.
That's right. Everybody may know what's going on
But
except
he doesn't,
for us.
But he doesn't have to say.
Yeah.
And he continued to speak out of both sides of his mouth, talking about all the good things that Mike McCarthy did, but saying that, well, I don't have to say anything just yet. We have to evaluate.
So you were saying he talked out of both sides of his mouth. So he said all the good things. Did he ever talk out of the other side of his mouth about bad things?
Bad things? Yeah, the injuries.
Oh, okay. All right.
And pointed that out, which, you know, it's part of the story this year that just kind of gets eliminated. You know, it's one of these deals, and like I like to say, everybody likes to put something in a big box and put a bow on top without looking inside the box to see what you got. And, you know, I'm watching the game last night, and all I kept seeing and hearing was all the injuries San Francisco had all the injuries Detroit had.
I felt sorry for the guy.
And I don't see that when they do the Cowboys games.
Nope.
You know, so what that you lost 6 Pro Bowlers and one more that didn't go on injured reserve?
How many did we lose?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's part of the story of this season that can't be ignored. And he did point that out. What do you have to have different? Well, I got to have my Pro Bowl quarterback on the field, and I've got to have an offensive line. He goes, if I made a mistake, I assumed that we could put young guys in on the offensive line, and it would just take off and be as good as ever. And he goes, and there were growing pains there. He goes, I got to have my defensive ends that I lost all season long. And, oh, what about the cornerbacks and the linebackers? And now the wide receiver, by the way. And you had the other wide receiver out for
4 weeks.
Cooks was out seven games at least.
From late September until November.
Right, from the first Giants game to, And my other Pro Bowl corner missed the first 10 games of the season. So some of that matters. And I think it has to go into his evaluation of Mike McCarthy.
By the way, that was also the toughest stretch of the season when Micah Parsons was out.
Right. Those 4 games.
And then leading up to last week's game, when after Micah had returned, this team was leading the league in sacks since his return and leading the league in takeaways.
Yeah, and pressures, too, by the way.
And the schedule got easier during that stretch, too.
And it did.
But all you got to do, just look at the quarterback position alone and see which teams have qualified for the postseason, which we went through this last week.
Sure
and I'll
did.
quickly go through it here. Eagles, Commanders, they both have their quarterbacks. I mean, assuming Hurts is back, whatever, and he will be. Lions, Vikings, Packers have their quarterbacks.
And stop right there. Vikings had a sugar plum land in their lap. They had no idea Sam Darnold was going to do what he did.
Who used to be Baker Mayfield's teammate in Carolina.
That's right.
Right.
And which gets me to Tampa Bay has their quarterback Baker Mayfield, and the Rams clinched their division, and they've got their quarterback Matthew Stafford. And we could do the same process in the AFC as well, where the Bills have their quarterback, the
Lamar
Ravens,
Jackson.
the Steelers. The Bengals are still threatening because they
Only
have their
because,
they have their quarterback. The Texans have their quarterback and are limping to the finish line. And, oh, by the way, the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos all have their starting quarterbacks. So there you go.
And that's the story of 2024.
And it might be the story of every season in the
Right?
NFL. If
Yes.
you've got your starting quarterback, you still have a shot. Going back to Jeff Hostetler and the Giants, Everson, where
We saved Jeff. Let's just
there you go.
call it what it is. We were special. We were special.
And-
we're like Philly. We don't need no offense.
And for
We
those
need
that
all-
want
we
to
just need defense.
point out that, these other teams with Saquon Barkley over 2,000 yards, Derrick Henry, but guess what? They had special quarterbacks to play with them, and that factored into their effectiveness because
Even in Buffalo,
defense,
you've got that guy Cook is running his
Right?
butt off over there.
And how come?
And it's definitely because he's playing off of his quarterback.
because Josh Allen can run his butt off
he can.
also.
And the offensive line has something to do with it.
Yes, they
Yes,
do.
absolutely.
Which gets back to what Jerry apparently said about the offensive line. If he made one mistake that is, I think, pretty glaring, it's depending on the young guys
Just
on the offensive
assuming
line.
that it was going to
But
be.
that you at some point, when you've got two future Hall of Famers who are in the last part of their career, Tyron Smith and Zach Martin, you're going to have to make that transition at some point.
Right.
And this happens to be the point where it was happening.
And despite that, they had a running back run for 1,000 yards.
Yep.
That had never been given that chance. And you have to go back to 2019, last time the Cowboys had somebody rush for as much as Rico Dotto has. Because while Pollard did it, Rico's got like a yard or two more
Does it?
than he ever had in his 1,000 yards situation. So you have to go back to Zeke.
But having said that,
What?
on the other side on Sunday, they were celebrating a running back who had 2,000 yards. And by the
how
way,
the mighty has fallen.
But he had a running quarterback.
how the mighty.
So by
but
the way,
more
We got
important-
1,000-yard
even more
running back.
importantly than the running quarterback,
Yes.
is they have an offensive
line.
line that is right up there with the Lions, the best in football.
so who was
Well,
Dick?
the way I always look at it is the defense always gives them another chance. So Saquon Barkley has always had a defense to give him the ball so he can run for more yards.
Who was Dickerson quarterback that year?
Little Shorty from Canada. The little short quarterback from Canada.
Short quarterback from Canada.
Yeah, come on,
Google
y'all.
short quarterback.
Yeah, I bet he'll come up.
okay,
I bet he'll
I'm going
come
to do
up.
that. Okay, I'm going to do that.
Short quarterback for the
Short-
Rams.
Short quarterback,
So it was
Canada.
83.
Rams. I'm not going to put the year in or anything. It's just short quarterback. I misspelled Canada, but Rams. Let's see if it comes up here. List of Rams starting quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, there you go.
It'll be Doug Flutie or something.
Short quarterback.
Just
Well,
put
let's go back
80
through the list of the quarterbacks
85.
83.
Where am I? Most games.
Oh, you mean
Can we
the
just
year
when, he set
83?
the, when he set the single
Oh,
season.
okay. I was going for when we played in 85.
Yeah, 83.
Okay, well, wait a second. We got to get the
Yeah,
short quarterback from Canada.
Ferragamo.
Norm Van Brocklin was short.
No, that's not. He's
Tarkenton was short.
Eddie LeBaron played for them. Let me see. 85?
Yeah.
83.
I was going 85. We're talking
It was
short quarterback.
Ferragamo.
Dieter Brock.
Ferragamo was
No.
in 83.
Vince
The short
Ferragamo?
quarterback from Canada, Dieter Brock.
I think that might have been him. Yeah, it was a weird name. That's
Dieter
him.
Brock. Let me look
That's
him up here.
That's him.
No, he's an American. But Canada, he played in the Canadian
there you
Football
go.
League.
I knew that was a connection.
That's where it was.
Dieter Brock, I remember.
He's from the province of Alabama in Canada.
I thought we were going back up to Canada. What are you talking about?
Wait.
What?
You know where he played in college?
In Canada?
Think of an Alabama school.
Oh, not Jacksonville
State.
You are
Yes.
lying, man.
See there? Yes.
Not Jacksonville
Jacksonville State.
You are lying, man.
Yes, he
Come
played
on,
at
come
Jacksonville
on.
State.
Conference champions.
It all comes back to
Come
Jacksonville
on, man.
State.
How did that happen?
That's the story of this season.
You ain't lying, especially the story of the month. It pops up every day this month.
Have they won their bowl game yet?
Oh my goodness! Oh, that's funny. He was a two-time CFL Most Outstanding Player, Dieter Brock, and he was the Rams quarterback in '85.
So
And-
83 was.
83, as
to
Chris
your
said,
question,
I said, Chris, I mean,
Ferragamo
Vince
in
Ferragamo,
83.
Yeah. Okay.
He did it in 84, though. So
So
So that would be
Vince still there?
Jeff Kemp and Vince
1984
Ferragamo.
is when he broke that record.
Oh, I thought it was 83.
So was who was there? Bill?
Jeff Kemp.
Okay.
He ran for 1,800 yards in 83, though.
And of course, the Jeff Kemp, the son of Jack Kemp.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and all those yards were against the Cowboys, too, in 83.
Half
If
of
you count the playoff game.
Half of them.
Okay, so what were we talking about?
Nothing. Nothing better than Jacksonville State.
Oh, me.
We were talking about the benefits of having your starting quarterback on the field, playing well for the playoffs.
So
So last night didn't change anything, right?
it was a meaningless
for
game.
Detroit,
It was a meaningless game.
right?
And
Except
they knew going in it was a meaningless
except maybe the Cowboys won't have to play San Francisco next
Oh, yeah. So there was meaning.
because they're
Because with
6
the
and
third place schedule.
yeah, they're last right now. Arizona's ahead of them.
Yeah, but now the Rams don't have to win in the season finale. So if
So
San Francisco wins that.
wins,
and
then
San
it-
Francisco has to play Arizona.
Oh, okay.
They play each other.
Oh.
So they're playing
So they
for
play
third
for
place.
the
They're
right
playing for
to play the
third
Cowboys next season.
I'm sure that's what's on their minds.
Well, the tiebreaker is going to come down to, like, I don't know what tiebreaker is going to be.
And we don't
Because
care
they
to
would
look
have
into
split.
it. But
So-
Yeah.
one way or the other, the Cowboys are going to play
They'll play one
Arizona
of the
or
two.
San Francisco next season.
It's a shame that this season I feel very good about our improvement, even though it was over teams that were kind of marginal. You know, some teams. The Tampa Bay win, to me, was the best win of the season. We really thought that had put us at least on a trend upward, which I still think it's, you know, we can't ignore our streak that we had. But at the same time, I'm pretty proud of where we were versus where we ended up. I just have to say that. I mean, even though we did lose badly to teams that were very good during that stretch, but we won against teams that were not so good, we won the games we were supposed to win. And it didn't seem as if we could do that when we first started having these calamities.
Okay, let's don't put a name on. Just in a general sense, if you were the owner / general manager of a football team,
A football team.
not
Not
this
Dallas
football
Cowboys,
team, a football team,
team.
and what happened this season, including the injuries and what you just said, third to last game of the season, probably the best game they played all year, coming off all that. How would you handle things going forward in terms of a coaching staff?
As far as the coaching staff is concerned, I think I would keep them intact. And simply because you're not going to find anyone, first of all, I always talk about the elephant in the room, and that would be Jerry. You've got to find coaches that can deal with the general manager and owner that Jerry is. But at the same time, you have to realize you're going to have a lot of work to do if you're changing an entire coaching staff. You got a lot of work. You put in a whole new system. You're going to have to change if we get a whole new staff, next year is not going to be good because it's going to be an adjustment period. If we keep this staff and we continue with the trend that we were on, putting in some pieces, make sure everyone stays healthy, I still don't see us as a Super Bowl team, but I see us as a playoff team that could go deep. That's just my opinion.
See, and And that's the other elephant in the room. And I heard the question today, or maybe it wasn't to him, but it was said. It's like, what do they have to do to win a Super Bowl next year? I'm going, how about playoffs?
Playoffs.
How about a division title?
Yeah.
How about just winning
Win the East.
one first round game?
Yeah.
It's not just look at the Super Bowl.
Well, that's why we picked a team. We didn't pick the Cowboys.
Right.
Because they only talk to us that way.
So
that's the only way we are seen. It's Super Bowl or bust every year. Now, that's the optimism you have from every team. But everyone believes when Jerry Jones says it. It's just the difference. It's just the difference.
So, speaking of making transitions like that, Mike Zimmer talked about it yesterday. And he said one of his regrets was he didn't do what he wanted to do defensively from the start because he thought he needed to blend in on what they had done the year before.
And when we come back here on Mix Shots, let's talk about that and more on Mike Zimmer.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Hey Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry, even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle.
Visit blockchain.com/cowboys to get started.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Back to Mixed Shots.
Cowboys Nation, Amanda Foster has been named your 2024 Dallas Cowboys Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan for her dedication to the team and spicing up the game. Vote for Amanda to be named the ultimate NFL Fan of the Year at NFL.com/fan of the year. When do they do the Super Bowl? It comes out Super Bowl? Is that when we know about?
I think
correct
beforehand, because that person gets to go to free trip to the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. Okay. So
they all get to go to the Super Bowl. So all 32 go to the Super Bowl, and then they announce it at honors.
All right.
Wow. Yeah.
So they the Thursday night before the Super Bowl, they will announce the winner of the NFL Fan of the Year. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct, and then they also get to go to the game.
Didn't the Cowboys
all the fans of the year get to go to the game?
Guy won it last year, maybe. I forgot.
The international guy won. It was international fan of the year was the Cowboy guy that he actually got to do the pick on the NFL draft.
That's right.
I hate hearing the NFL honors thing because that's where we had to go after you found out you didn't become a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
So they come to your room and be like, hey, you didn't make it, bro. And so we went to downstairs in 10 minutes. And I'm like, it's going to be a while.
Okay.
We got tequila here.
So as we transition to Mike Zimmer, before Mickey talks about what he teased just a moment ago, Mike Zimmer was asked about Darren Woodson as well. And Darren Woodson is, for the third straight year, a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It was announced over the weekend.
And I just wrote 8 paragraphs on that, setting up what Zim had to say. So,
would you like to paraphrase what he had to say there, or would you like to go on to?
He said it. I think the first thing he said he should have been in a long time ago, basically, and then talked about all the things he could do. And my point now is, they list him as a safety. He was a defensive player. He played safety, he played corner, he played linebacker. And Avazano never let him off special teams. Unbelievable. Every year it's like, and then he found himself at least the outside guy on kickoff coverage.
And still like the leading tackler in Cowboys history.
Is that what you did?
Don't diminish that. I was on special teams, though.
And he led the Cowboys franchise in career tackles. Think about the defensive guys in this franchise that are in the Hall of Fame. He's got more tackles than them all. So anyway, I got on my soapbox already. Yeah.
All right. So now to what, and this was the last availability of the 2024 season for the coordinators with the media yesterday, and Mike Zimmer was very good. And among the things he talked about was what you were getting to a moment ago.
Yeah, and his point was that when he got here, he didn't think he should have reinvented the wheel and just bring in everything he wanted to do. He felt like, okay, this defense was pretty good the last couple of years, that let's use a little bit of what I want to do and keep some of the stuff they were doing. Sort of, I think that was the philosophy, if you think about when McCarthy got here with the offense. It was like he didn't change the whole thing to be his offense. He let Kellen Moore do what they've been doing that had been successful. Or what Dak knew. He said that, he said, I didn't come in, I wasn't stubborn, I wasn't a hard head, I probably wasn't as hard on guys as I should have been to start. And he goes, and as the season went along, he goes, I got to congratulate the players because we made somewhat of a transition.
Yes, they did.
And started doing things I wanted to do. And so I thought that was very revealing on his thoughts on.
I always thought that. I have been thinking that Michael Parsons has a lot to do with this. We depend a lot on him, and we criticize him a lot when the defense is not playing well because he's our guy. And there are times when he was being exposed. I don't know what happened while he was injured, but it seems as if someone has given him a different mindset on how to set the edge, which is one of the plays that have been killing us. All doing, we've never been able to set the edge in our running defense. That has changed. As you see how other teams play it, we were watching other teams play it well on how they set the edge. And we were wondering, why can't we do that? Well, we started doing that. And now our defense is playing better. And I don't know what they said to Micah during that time, but to me, he's been the catalyst as to how we are setting the edge because he's the one that is playing differently now when it comes to those particular plays.
And the other part of it was, and I remember talking to him in the offseason about his plans for Micah. And his plans were that, third down, rushing the quarterback, but I'm going to try to convince him that he's going to play a little more linebacker, right? Well, that was fine and good until Sam Williams went down. And that was fine and good until DeMarcus Lawrence went down. And that was fine and good until Marshawn Nealon went down. So, and then he goes down. But the idea was to make him a versatile defensive player so teams didn't know that he's starting off right there. I'm going to put him at linebacker, and you don't know what he's going to do.
So right now he's playing like T.J. Watts. Right.
basically.
That's what he's playing. And you don't want that. You want him to play.
I mean, he's a stand-up defensive end.
You want to be more Fred Warner and
I mean, if you watched
defensive end.
what Philadelphia was doing, oh my Lord, they had 2-3 guys taking him on, and nobody else took advantage in that game, and that's what they needed.
I think the way they're playing defense now, and I know they had a tough game against Philly. I'm not going to judge them on the Philly game. I'm going to judge them on what I saw in Tampa and leading up to Tampa, because the Philadelphia game is what it is. I think our defense is just below where we were last year. And I think that's a good thing when you're talking about a transition that they made, and especially coming off those first, say, 8 games that we played. To see them improve with the personnel that they have, I got to give him some love. I have to give him some love because they have kept us in games. They are active, and half the time you don't even know who these guys are. And that's the good thing about it. He's playing with guys who don't have nearly the talent. And I'm talking about Coach Zimmer. He's playing guys with not near the talent that from the ones that we lost.
Speaking of not knowing the guys' names, I got to find it.
You can't even find their
Talk
names.
about something. Oh, I can't even believe. So in 2000, when the Cowboys played the final game of the season at Tennessee, Tennessee had a whole lot to play for. The Cowboys were on their way to finishing 5-11. And this is a little off track, but
we're accustomed to that.
It made me think, because the question now this week is Trey Lance going to start the final game? So it made me think, remember I brought up, maybe it was yesterday, Reggie Collier starting the last game in '86. Well, starting the last game in 2000 was Anthony Wright, because Randall Cunningham said he had a strained hamstring.
It was a bad weather game.
It was cold. Game didn't mean anything. Troy was already out with a concussion back, so they start Anthony Wright. And I went back and
I just looked it up.
Read my story after the game that I wrote. And they were playing all these backup guys because everybody wanted to see the backup guys. And I said, well, this is what you get when you play backup guys, right? One of the guys in that game playing defensive tackle was named Noel Scarlett. Scarlett, defensive tackle. It was the only game I think he played all season long, right? And that was the only game he played in his NFL career. But that's what it got down to, right? And,
replacement players.
And basically, no, you know what I said? This was a preseason game in December.
Yeah.
And that's what, and it was on Christmas night. Nobody wanted to play.
Right.
I'll guarantee you.
And Anthony Wright in that game.
And Anthony Wright, yeah, he struggled.
He was 5 out of 20 for 35 yards and 2 interceptions.
And I think
sacked
he had
4 times.
He had 2 fumbles, so they had 4 turnovers.
3 carries, 9 yards, and then Tennessee had a great defense.
Well, yeah, they were going to get the number 1 seed, I think, that year in the AFC. So yeah, you want to see, okay, now
this game,
there's a chance they may do it. I had nothing against giving it a shot, but then 2 things could take place. One, he plays so poorly that you might
his value will sink all the way down.
Right, but what if he plays well and he's a free agent, and somebody else goes, well, maybe I'll pay him $5 million to be maybe my backup quarterback. When the Cowboys could be thinking, well, maybe, I can sign him for my backup quarterback if he plays well. But if he plays poorly, well, he's no more than the 3rd guy once again. In a game that you don't have all your receivers out there, maybe.
Right.
What if Brandon Cooks doesn't play? And you got Tolbert, Brooks, Turpin, and Flanoy out there.
Well, if Brandon Cooks doesn't play, then those 3 receptions will go to one other player.
Those 3. Okay.
And the 2 interceptions, they won't.
And that's nothing against Brandon.
Targets,
and that's nothing against Brandon Cooks, because I think he's fully capable of doing more. But that's all he's being used for here.
They knew that's what they had to cover. Think about having thrown into double and triple coverage there. Absolutely.
All right.
Anyway.
All right. Let's get into more of what the coordinators talked about yesterday.
Okay.
And then some when Mick Shots continues in a moment.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry, even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle.
Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys to get started.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
The Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, presented by Nationwide, recognizes players who do so much more both on and off the field and in the community. Help Dallas Cowboys nominee Zach Martin raise funds for the National Medal of Honor Museum Foundation by casting your charity challenge vote on NFL.com/Man of the Year or tweet your support using the hashtag WPMOY challenge. Voting ends on January 6th. Vote for Zach.
All right, final segment here on a New Year's Eve edition of Mick Shots. And Mickey, you were talking earlier about Rico Dowdle going over 1,000 yards, and he's at what now? 1,007,
I believe it is. Is that what I said?
I can't remember what you said.
He did say 7.
Okay, 1,000. Well, now you said he's one short.
He needs 1 yard.
He's 1,000.
He's what?
Tony Pollard in 2022 had 1,007 yards.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In 2023, he had 1,005 yards.
Right.
And so Dowdle is how far away from
1 yard?
What? So
of being more than anybody since Zeke in 2019.
Okay, so he's at 1,006 or 7?
7.
Okay, so he's tied with Pollard right now.
Yes.
Okay. Which led me to look up what Pollard has done. Of course, a decision the Cowboys had to make after last season was whether or not to re-sign Tony Pollard in free agency. He signed with Tennessee, 3 years, $24 million. And I just looked up his numbers for this season, and Tony Pollard is sitting at he has played in 15 games, 15 starts, 1,017 yards, very similar to his numbers here with Dallas on 238 carries and 5 touchdowns.
And they've both played the same amount of games because I think Rico missed one.
Yeah, that's right. He missed one.
Okay.
Yep, that's right. Mysterious illness.
So everybody,
I remember that.
Yeah, right. Everybody with didn't like the committee, raise your hand now because you got a 1,000-yard rusher.
Mm-hmm.
And how many yards per carry does Dowdle have? Do you have his stats in front of you?
I did. I just closed it.
We never close a subject here.
That's
Spags.
right.
You know that, bro. You know that.
Because Pollard is at 4.3 yards per attempt. Now, it is apples and oranges when you compare. Tennessee does things
Rico,
in a certain way, and the Cowboys.
4.7
Yep.
yards a carry. Now, he only has one rushing touchdown. Pollard has 7. But they paid dearly for it, right?
Yeah. 3 years, $24 million is the total value of it.
So that average is $8 million a year.
$8 million a year, and that was the going rate basically. So what did Derrick Henry get? $9 million a year, something like that, in Tennessee,
and you know what? I finally looked up Saquon, and his was in that 3-year, 30-some whatever. But the guarantees they've given him to reduce his cap charge now. The void year, and I think the void year is like 2028, 2029, somewhere in there, is $40-some million.
They're going to pay the piper at some point?
At some point.
Okay.
Now, if it pays off
then
and you win, you say, okay, do like the Rams. So what? We had,
we got a losing
season the next year or so.
We had our run.
But we won the Super Bowl. So... And they did A.J. Brown's contract the same way, too, by the way, Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a huge payoff when he's done for the voided year. So however you want to do business, if it works, as Parcells said, if it works, it's right. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't, you're wrong.
And as we've talked about before, and as far as these quarterback contracts, the key thing on the Dak contract, where it has a bigger cap hit for this team than other teams that have signed quarterbacks in that same range, that those quarterbacks on their second contract, Dak on his third contract. So you already had money from the second contract built into these extended years on Dak's deal. And so it's counting more against the cap than what a Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia is.
And he's another one at the end of that contract. It's in the cap hit is astronomical. So they're hoping they don't get there, or he's been that good.
Well, they'll be to a point where
redo the contract.
Right, they'll be at a point where on his third contract they're going to be in the same salary cap situation the Cowboys are in right now.
Because no one's taking less, especially if you play well. By the way, we went over who the Cowboys had to play this coming season. Mm-hmm. I went and kind of looked everything up and did the records. So they got to play 10 games against teams with winning records, and 9 or 10 of those games will be playoff games against playoff teams from this year. Mm-hmm. But if Arizona ends up in third place in the West, their strength of schedule will be .549 winning percentage. That would be the teams they have to play, which is more than this year, because now it's at 508. So it doesn't get any easier getting the third place schedule because of the 2 divisions they have to play.
And again, can you remind us?
NFC North.
NFC North, okay, that features 3
Detroit, Minnesota, Green Bay,
3 playoff-bound teams.
Chicago. So those 4 teams right now are 42-21. And then the AFC West, Kansas City, Chargers, Denver, which all could be playoff teams, and then the Raiders, and they're 37-27 right now.
So what you're saying is, in all likelihood, the winner of the NFC East next year will be a 10-win team, 10-win team, because everyone has to play the same schedule virtually.
Right.
And so we know Philadelphia is not winning the NFC East next year. So Dallas,
no one ever repeats.
Because no one ever repeats.
No one. Last 10 years?
No. we're talking 20 years.
20, wow.
2004 is the last time we've had a repeat winner in the NFC East.
That's crazy.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So all you got to do is get to 10 wins to win the NFC East next year, probably, because of the tough schedule they had.
And then,
like it's the same every year.
And then Philadelphia.
Does that scare you, Spags?
What, that?
Having to play these guys?
Well, you got to be awfully good to play that schedule. And that's what happened to them this year, too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you think those teams will be just as good next year as what they are this year?
Not all of them.
No, they won't be.
There'll be injuries.
That's what this league's all about.
The injuries catch up with
them.
Yeah,
that's what the NFC,
so Philadelphia
is all about.
That's why this schedule formula is in existence, to even things out.
Now, Philadelphia's got to play those same conferences, but they got to play the NFC West first place.
Yeah, which is what the Cowboys had to do this year, which is
so that's the why am I blanking out? First,
NFC West. It's Rams.
The Rams, right? Yeah. And then the NFC South, not big deal, right? It's Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay right now.
Cowboys get New Orleans. And then the AFC East.
Yeah, well, we don't do well.
Yeah, right.
You act like that's just a pushover. Can't believe you just passed over New Orleans.
Who beat them 40-something
oh, my God.
Whatever. And then they got to play first place in the AFC East, which is Buffalo. So that's a tough one. But the other two, not that much different than who you got to play, especially when you got Detroit, Minnesota, Green Bay, Kansas City, Chargers, and probably Denver. Although they've got to win, and does somebody have to lose for Denver's still get in?
Denver, if Denver wins over Kansas City, which has nothing to play for,
right.
Denver is in.
Denver's in.
Yeah.
Which is a remarkable job by Sean Payton, by the way.
Which, by the way,
with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
How about Miami?
And you know why? Defense. Defense. That's why this doesn't scare me. Oh, we got to play. Dude, you put a good defense out there, you got a chance every time. I don't care what your offense looks like. I'm not just, but like my boy said, it's nothing I've heard. It's something I've done. I've seen it happen. These guys, good teams, yes. Everybody talks about reputations, yes. But if you come up there and you do like Mike Tyson, hit somebody in the mouth, and see where their game plan goes.
You know, about along those lines of the defense. Go ahead, Mickey.
I was going to say, to emphasize this point, in 2003, when the Cowboys got a wild card berth.
Somehow,
some way, Bill Parcells' first year.
Yeah.
Quincy Carter was the quarterback.
Yeah.
Troy Hambrick was the running back. And I think one of the leading receivers was Richie Anderson, the fullback. Think about it. Let that sink in. The defense, third against the run, first against the pass, number one defense thanks to Mike Zimmer.
I was going to say, and who is the defensive coordinator? Mike Zimmer. And which leads me perfectly into what I was about to say. I think one coach for sure that Jerry Jones would like to bring back is Mike Zimmer.
Yes, and I think it'll come down to did he enjoy this? Does he want to continue to coach?
I think he should.
And
I don't think he's been through a season like this before.
I'm hoping I can get through this. It was pretty emotional just knowing Zim as well as he did.
Yeah.
And he said they asked him about coming back, and he said, well, one of the things I did it for my son.
Yeah.
Adam passed away
2 years ago.
A couple of years ago.
October 2022.
I remember that, yeah.
Right?
I reached out to him.
And Adam had coached with his dad.
Yeah.
Starting in Cincinnati, and then all throughout the time at Minnesota,
until the last,
and had been growing up here. I mean,
right.
Adam was 38 years old when he passed away, and so he grew up here, went to Colleyville Heritage, and he was on the Cowboys sideline. A sudden passing,
and then somebody had to ask a follow-up question. Well, why did this mean so much to you by your son? And he got pretty emotional, talking about, well, he would have been here with me.
Did he make it through?
He did. He did, and he was great talking about it.
Oh,
and I thought it was really. We used it last night on the news. because it really people didn't realize what has gone on, and of course Mike's life, going back to his wife 15 years ago, sudden passing when he was an assistant coach in Cincinnati.
Wow. Yeah.
I thought he said it beautifully about how he needed to get back on the field this season. He's been coping with his son's death for 2 years now, and how he talked about the season opener in Cleveland, how being back on the field and just being in that environment, and people even from the other team coming up to him, staff members saying how great it is to see him back, and then going through the season, and he talked about how Adam loved the Cowboys. When Adam was a kid. Zim came here in '94, and so Adam would have been 10 years old then. And so as a kid, as a teenager, he was always around, on the sideline, at training camp, whatever. Even when the Cowboys were in training camp in San Antonio, he was in school at Trinity University, hanging around down there. And but I thought it was beautiful the way Mike talked about it, and he got emotional talking about it, and I thought it was...
He just kind of finished just in time because, he got... And I was right there with him because I knew Adam, knew his wife, his whole story, because after the 2006 season, Parcells wasn't sure if he was coming back.
Yeah.
And Mike's contract was up. And he got an offer to go to Atlanta with the coach that used to be at Louisville, ended up
Bobby Petrino.
And Petrino had offered him the job as the defensive coordinator. So he had to decide, do I take what I know or do I stay here and see what Parcells going to do? Because he might have had a chance to be the head coach here.
Yeah.
Because he had gotten interviewed the year before by Nebraska, and he didn't like the way it looked, and he turned it down. So he goes to Atlanta. Petrino, I don't know, 4 games left in the season, quit to go to Arkansas.
He was weird.
And left his whole staff that he hired there,
The motorcycle rider?
Yeah. And so he goes to Cincinnati next. And I think they had to play Atlanta like that season. And somebody asked him about his experience at Atlanta. Oh, look it up online. He went off on Petrino like you never.
Not surprised.
There was
not surprised.
In whatever machine you guys have to bleep the words out, it would have run out of bleeps. I swear to God, he just unloaded.
Well, I know we gotta go, but there are times when you get an apology or you get to release something, let it out. Sometimes you feel better. Sometimes you feel better. Much as you might want to hold it in, and you think you're holding it in for your own sake and don't want to involve anybody else. When you let it out, sometimes it feels good. And you'd be surprised about how good it feels. I had a guy apologize to me one day about something that happened a long time ago. And man, I told him it was all good, but as I started thinking about it, I felt better. I felt better because he apologized to me.
And you let it go.
Yes, I did. I had already let it go, but the fact that he apologized to me, I had let it go without him apologizing, but then he apologized, and I was like, nah, man, don't worry about it. And I didn't realize how good I felt. I did not realize how good that outlet felt. So I'm sure Zimmer felt the same way.
And I think when we resume on Thursday, we can talk more about the assistant coaches talking about the unknown of not knowing where you're going. I thought
because all of them are
John Fossil was really good at it because he grew up in that situation with his dad.
Yeah.
Right? I think he told me he lived 12 different places as a kid growing up. His dad chasing a coaching job. And how tough it is.
Yeah.
You don't get immune to it, but you kind of know how to deal with it. And I think all the guys were really good talking about that.
Anybody heard anything about Al Harris being touted or recruited.
Somebody should be.
He's always. He's
a defensive coordinator in waiting.
No matter what happens here, he'll land safely somewhere and in a good place. But I would think he's a good chance he'll still be here if they keep,
That would be a priority if I was coming.
And that all factors into it. I think the whole coaching staff, when they're all up, to your point from earlier, and why you, in a general sense, feel like that keeping that continuity is important.
If you can teach these young no-name guys, and no disrespect to them, people don't know them yet. But if you can teach guys with this little experience, and you get guys who have been here that realize I got to step up and play better, Osa being one of those guys, it just gives you pause. It does. It gives you a little bit of optimism.
Well, when we come back on Thursday, you're going to have to talk about playing for Ernie Stautner.
Oh, cool, cool. I'm ready.
All right. So Happy New Year, everybody. And we won't be here tomorrow. But we will be here on Thursday.
This season is not done yet.
High noon 2025 is straight ahead.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!